Well, our next guest has accomplished a thing or two. It's on the 50 greatest anniversary team, 75th anniversary greatest team, Basketball Hall of Famer, NBA champ, and ABA champ. You went through some of these drapes. 5 times first team All NBA, 4 times first team All ABA, MVP of the 75 finals. Nice enough to join us, the legend himself, Rick Barry. How are you today, Rick?
Well, I'm doing great. If I was doing any better, I'd be making a comeback in the NBA.
There you go.
Now would be the time, Rick. I'll tell you that, right? All the money being thrown around, now would be the time.
I think, weren't you in Vegas just this week, and you're still showing people how to shoot free throws, Rick?
No, I wasn't down in Vegas. That was the 50th anniversary for USA Basketball. My wife was one of the executives for 12 years, ran the women's program, and so she was there. My son, who was on the 3x3 Olympic team, was there as well, and but no, I have things. I'm actually in San Francisco doing something for the Warriors. Just did a big shoot or something that they're doing for promo for the All-Star game for next year. And then I'm heading over right now to go and visit with Al Ados.
Oh, going to hang with Al Ados.
Coach.
Yeah.
Coach who won the championship.
Yeah. We're talking Warriors royalty right there. Hey, Rick, make of, you will, the offseason moves by both teams. Let's start with Golden State, Klay Thompson going to Dallas, but Mike Dunleavy Jr. really trying to, replace him with a number of different guys. And then you look at Sacramento getting DeMar DeRozan. Just what did you think about the moves both teams here in Northern California made?
Well, the Warriors didn't have any choice in the Klay Thompson situation. He elected to leave. He felt, I think, disrespected, is everything that I heard, that he felt disrespected, that they didn't really care enough about him to want to offer him a contract that he was happy with. And so I can understand where that's coming from. I mean, to have done what he did for this team and to have other people getting signed and to not take the time to make sure that you kept him in the fold was a mistake on their part. And obviously they wound up losing one of the great players that the team has ever had during the great run that they had. So I wish him well. I'm sorry that he's leaving. But I can certainly understand where he's coming from. But I think what made it easier, if he had been married with kids and doing that, I don't know if he would have been happy with the results going to be. It's hard to pick up your family and move and go someplace else when you've been around for as long as he's been in the Bay Area and so settled in. But I hope it works for him. As long as the Mavericks don't beat the Warriors in the playoffs, then I'm fine with it.
Rick, if I may, are you speaking from experience there? Because I know you stayed in the Bay Area with Yeah.
I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, especially he's been there for as long as he's been there, but he doesn't have any children, so that makes things a whole lot easier for being able to pick up and move. But anyway, it's for him. He'll help them. There's no question. Him coming off the bench to give him 3-point shooting. I mean, even in towards the end of his career here now, I mean, he still shot 38% from threes, which is better than a whole bunch of guys in the NBA, and still average 15 or more points a game. So to get that and the experience that he has, that's a big plus, I think, for Dallas. No question about that.
Rick Barry with us, and around here, Kings fans very excited about the acquisition of DeMar DeRozan. He's in some ways a throwback in that he doesn't take a lot of threes, great mid-range game, gets to the line a lot. I don't know how, you're very busy, don't know how closely you follow the Kings, but how do you see him fitting in with Mike Brown's offense?
Well, it just depends on, what he's willing to accept, what Mike wants each of them to do. I mean, the last time I checked, he still only played with one ball. And it's just a matter of how well the guys are going to gel together, how willing the guys are to perhaps sacrifice a little bit, because once you start a season on a team, you have to put your ego in the closet, because it's not about you anymore. What can I do to help this team win a championship? And you have to be willing to accept that role and to really apply yourself to it and be committed to it if it's going to work. And that goes for everybody on the team, because everybody has a role to play, and it all has to be done simultaneously and together, with everybody being on the proverbial same page. Now, if they do that, they got a lot of talent on that team, without question. It certainly is another addition to it, gives them another weapon to have to try to defend against. So, yeah, I mean, it should be a good pickup from if it all works together. Teams look great on paper a lot, but they don't necessarily always pan out when you get on the court or on the field and see how they play together. So it's always a big question mark. Who knows? I mean, you really never know.
Rick, you bring up an interesting point about, you just never know. It's not NBA 2K. It's not fantasy basketball. You have to put together a team. And, I'm looking at Team USA adding Derek White. And then I'll look at what the Sacramento Kings are doing. We feel like they need an upgrade at the power forward position. There's been some talk of a guy like Kyle Kuzma or Brandon Ingram or somebody like that. I'm of the belief you need a more of a blue collar guy that necessarily doesn't need the basketball. Talk to me just about, putting together a team instead of a collection of stars and how important that is in basketball.
Well, it's critical. I mean, just look at what's happened with our teams in international competition for world championships, things of that nature. Jerry Colangelo was the one that told these guys, look, you just can't take the best players and throw them all together and expect it to work. I mean, and this is they've done. I think White's a great addition to the Olympic team. I mean, he's a blue collar guy, the guy that's going to work his butt off and knows how to play the game. He can shoot the three, he can create. Yeah, you need that. You don't need, like they say, you don't need all chiefs. You got to have some Indians. Okay, you got the head of the tribe, and then you got the other people. Everybody has their role that they have to play. And so I would agree with you there. The last thing they need to do is bring in a guy who's used to being a 20-point-a-game scorer or something in the power forward. So you get somebody who can rebound, play some defense, and give you 10 points and 8-10 rebounds a game.
Yeah, Clyde Lees don't grow on trees these days, do they? Rick Barry, our guest. Rick, if I remember correctly, you were one of the first that saw Yao Ming and said, this guy's going to be great. When you were playing, did you foresee how popular the game would become globally and how many great international stars would be coming over?
No, I can't say that I had a crystal ball to think that, but I knew that there were a lot of players overseas because what happened initially is that the players overseas were very robotic. They didn't have a lot of great athletes who played the game, and they were pretty predictable as to what they could do. And then the game became more popular, and with television is the biggest thing that helped do it. I mean, now like hell, I was watching my son Kenny, who's on 3x3 Olympic team. I was watching him play in freaking Mongolia. Streaming. I mean, I wish the heck that was the case when my son Scooter was playing, so I didn't have to go ahead and fly overseas just to be able to get to see him play. I mean, it's really remarkable what goes on with that. But yeah, the game has grown so much, and there's so many foreign players who are just great players. I mean, hell, look at the Joker and Jokic. I mean, there's just so many great players out there now from overseas. It's crazy. And it's great for the game. I mean, I think it's absolutely wonderful. And it's going to continue to grow because more and more people. It's so easy. Here's the thing. Basketball is so easy. What do you need? You need a ball and just a basket someplace outside of the playground. You don't need to have a lot of money. So a lot of these countries where they don't have a lot of money and they don't belong to country clubs or whatever, they go to the park. I mean, that's why we've had so many of the black players to be able to develop, because even growing up in the difficult circumstances for them in some of the big cities, they have playgrounds and you just need a ball. And, sometimes you don't even have a net, but you can still play. I mean,
and you can do it by yourself too. You don't need to.
That. No. I would get up in the summertime when I finally made the commitment to basketball. I was more of a baseball player in high school. And then finally, after my sophomore year, I made the commitment to basketball because of what happened in baseball, because I was an all-state baseball player. I was much better in baseball than I was in basketball. And so I would go in the morning, and my mom would cook breakfast. She'd make a lunch for me. I'd leave, and I wouldn't come home until dinner time. And if nobody was there, I would just drill. I would shoot. I would do drills, tipping drills, other things, and just work on my game. And somebody shows up, you play. And that's what it's about. It's about putting the time and the effort in it. But here's the deal. If you love what you're doing, it's like, okay, you guys love what you're doing. I love playing. I don't think I had a job. That's not a job.
Right.
A job is when you have to do something that you really don't want to do just to survive. That's a job. Okay? If you love what you do, that's what I try to tell kids. Find something you have a love and a passion for. Learn as much about it as you can so you lay down a great foundation to build on, and then you'll have a chance of really enjoying life and having great success.
Right. The great Rick Barry joining us, Hall of Fame, our all-time great, one of the top 75 players in league history. Rick, I want to switch gears, and this might be a leading question. How would you say, all right, I grew up in Philadelphia, Rick. I'm a big Dr. J fan, Julius Erving. And when I talk about the all-time greats, I feel like people, I know he is one of your rivals back in the day, but I feel like people don't, give the ABA and the times the great players spent in the ABA the credit they deserve. Can you just talk to me about the league and the talent and what it was like back then?
Well, there's a tremendous number of great players in the ABA, and they got a big documentary coming out that I've seen the preview of it, and it's really quite well done, and I think everybody should watch it. If you like basketball, you'll learn a lot more about it, and a lot of those players didn't get their just due, and without the ABA, a great many Hall of Fame players might never have had a chance to become Hall of Famers because they wouldn't have been given the opportunity to play. So I think you'll really enjoy it. They did, I think, a really nice job with it. And I'm with Dr. J every weekend because we both coach in the Big Three, Ice Cubes League. And I see him and George Gervin and Gary Payton and all these other guys that are involved. And, everybody who played the game, I think, appreciates and understands just how great so many players were. And there's so many over there that have never gotten their just due. I mean, amazing, especially some of the guards that played. My heavens! Then Artis Gilmore. I mean, what a joke! Artis Gilmore. People have no idea because they remember him from the Chicago Bulls. That was at the end, towards the end of his career. He was so athletic. And I never seen anybody blocking guys' jumpers from the baseline. For God's sake! I'm serious. I have a picture that I show everybody. Me driving the middle, throwing up a floater. It's behind the backboard. And there's Artis up over the top of it, cupping it with the basket right there. And it's one of those things where if you put like a little circle in, what somebody's saying, mine would be, look at it, you got to be shitting me. he's cupping the ball. I mean, and Artis was amazing. And when he was younger, I mean, so athletic. I saw a picture of him in college when he was up blocking a shot. His hand was up above the backboard with the square that's there. I mean, he was incredible, and people just remember him as a big, strong guy with the Bulls, but he was an amazing player. And then, of course, Spencer Haywood was another guy that came in, and Roger Brown was a great player in the NBA that people don't know much about. And Willie Wise, unbelievable, terrific, one of the best defensive players I've ever played against, and a heck of an offensive player as well. I just go on and on about there's so many players that are there. And finally, the Hall of Fame started to have a committee to start to give the ABA guys a chance to get to be in the Hall of Fame. The fact that Artis Gilmore had to get put in the Hall of Fame by the ABA committee was a travesty. Mm-hmm. And this guy should have been a first ballot guy. I mean, he was a 20-20 guy. He was getting 20 rebounds and 20 points in college. I mean, there's no way he shouldn't have been elected into the Hall of Fame 5 years after his retirement.
Rick Barry with us. And Rick, obviously, you talked about Canyon. I didn't realize Canyon also has a degree in nuclear engineering. I can't imagine how proud
he
you
has
are.
A master's. He has a master's in nuclear engineering. He has a degree in physics as well from the Honors College. Yeah, my son is stupid smart. Thank God he takes after his mother.
And, of course, John was a fan favorite here, and we know about your other son. So I'm wondering what your views are on what's going on with Bronny and possibly he's going to end up playing with LeBron. What do you make of that?
I think it's awesome. I mean, really, seriously. I mean, if I had the opportunity to be able to play on the highest level possible in basketball and have one of my sons be playing with me, oh my God, that would be nirvana. I mean, if I had that kind of power and clout, I mean, why not? Mm-hmm. Why would you not do that? Mm-hmm. I mean, so, I don't blame LeBron for doing it. I mean, if the Lakers are willing to go for it, I mean, that's their choice to see if they wanted to do it. Now, is it fair? No. But everything in life isn't fair. There are other guys out there who are probably much better basketball players that deserve an opportunity to do it, but their father isn't LeBron James.
Right. And the thing, too, about that, Rick, and it hit me about a week ago, a lot of people are saying, well, you're only there because of your dad. But I argue Bronny, the road might have been tougher because LeBron was his dad. As a guy that had a number of sons, play professionally, how was that, for your boys coming up and being the sons of a Hall of Famer and all-time great?
Well, obviously, it didn't help my son Canyon, who was every bit as good as my other sons, and certainly had a shot to be able to be an NBA player, but didn't get the opportunity. But that's life. I mean, you play the cards you're dealt, like they say, and sometimes you get good cards, sometimes you get crappy cards. I'm just happy that my son made the commitment to want to go and try out the 3x3 and participate in that for a chance to go to the Olympics. I mean, it's hard when you're doing something in life and you're doing pretty darn well, but you're not being recognized. I mean, my son averaged 13 points a game on 7 shots, shooting 48 from twos, 40 from threes, and 86 from the free throw line, and couldn't get a 10-day contract when somebody on the team was making $7 million, shooting 26 from threes, 36 from twos, and 60-something from the free throw line, and he's got $7 million that he's making. That makes it pretty tough to deal with. So those are the situations that happen in life, and you can't sit around and feel sorry for yourself, and that's why I'm proud of my son that he was willing to make the commitment to do this, and now he's experiencing something that nobody else in the Barry family has, which is to be an Olympian. And so I'm happy for him to have the opportunity to do that. That was the biggest disappointment of my career, that I didn't make the 64 Olympic team, which I thought I played well enough to do it, but it was very political back in those days, and it wasn't meant to be. So, hey, if you feel, if something happens and it makes you sad, cry, get over it, move on.
Rick, I'm going to ask you about this, this question about the greatest, and I'm sure you get asked this all the time. You're probably tired of it. I want to frame it this way. Somebody asked John Stockton. They asked him, who's the greatest? Is it MJ, LeBron, or Kobe? And he said, why? He said, I don't think it'd be one of those three. And he said, one of those three I wouldn't even have in my top five. And he didn't say who that was, but he went on to say, hey, Wilt Chamberlain, they changed the game for Wilt Chamberlain. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the most dominant player I'd ever seen. How annoying is it when people ask you about that? And how do you even try to answer that question? Who's the greatest of all time?
Well, first of all, it's a ridiculous question when it's a team sport. There's no such thing as the greatest of all time in a team sport, because every position requires different skills. If you want to have a reasonably intelligent conversation, you say, who is the best point guard, who was the best two guard, and do it during the time that they played during that particular decade. You can't compare different decades. I mean, I hear this all the time from people about me. Well, Rick, you guys wouldn't be able to play with these guys today. And I said, are you on drugs? Do you really understand how much better a player I would be and my contemporaries would have been if we played today? We never had a strength coach. We didn't have an agility coach. We didn't have a dietitian. We didn't have any of the things that these guys have. If we played today, and I know for myself, I'd be faster, and I was pretty damn fast, faster, quicker, stronger, more endurance, jump higher. I would be so much better a player today because of the technology that exists and the training that exists, because everything in sports is sports specific now. It used to be people went out, they lifted and they did stuff. Well, now you do certain lifting depending upon the sport you play, depending upon the position that you play. It's incredibly sophisticated. So stop with this comparison. There is no such thing as the greatest of all time. When I played, the GOAT was the guy who screwed up. Wasn't the greatest of all time. I mean, so now they're doing crazy. And who's great? I'm so sick and tired of it, especially with some of the talking heads on television. It's pathetic. I mean, I'm surprised that even John said that, which is the same thing. Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, come on. Wilt was the most dominant center of his time during that. He's the center, okay, from the skill standpoint. Not Bill Russell, who was unbelievable. Who had the most impact on a team winning championships and doing stuff? Obviously, Bill Russell. But skill and talent for the center position and what you can do in the center position, nobody's ever done what Wilt Chamberlain did. But don't compare him to Kareem, because if Wilt were playing today, as great as he was, he'd be even greater.
Ooh, Rick Barry, the Hall of Famer, joining us here on The Drive, guys. Rick, when you look at, your era and when you played, who was, your biggest rival, your biggest adversary, the guy that got you excited to go up against night in and night out?
Oh, I love to play against the best players. I mean, I really enjoyed having to guard, Dr. J, who came along later in the ABA days and went into the NBA, and I did get to play against him, and we were actually, very good friends. And I think I just had him on and did an interview with him with a show I do before our Ball Hogs thing, before all of our games, and there's Big Three on the weekends. And Doc was awesome, fun to drive. I always joked with him. I said, Doc, I can tell you one thing, there's no way you were ever going to posterize me, because if you were coming down the court wide open and I had the misfortune of being alone under the basket, I'm grabbing it. I'm not going to be on a poster with you dunking over the top of me, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. The thing that actually made it easier for me is because I was a great scorer. Okay, I wasn't a great shooter. No, I was a great scorer. There's a big difference between the two. I hear some of these guys on television, oh, he's a lockdown defender. When I hear an NBA guy saying that, I get very, very upset when I hear that from those guys, because you can lock down a shooter. You can't lock down a scorer. I have too many ways to beat you. I mean, so there is no such thing as in fact, I had Dr. J and I had George Gervin, and when I was doing the interview, I said, Doc, I got to bring this up. I said, did you ever have anybody lock you down? He said, not that I can recall. George, did anybody ever lock you down? He said, no. you just can't lock down a score. Okay, so just understand that, folks. Shooters, yes, but you have to have a well-rounded game. That's what makes it so difficult to play against a score, because I can drive left, I can drive right. If you're off me, I can shoot the ball. I'm going to get in, get some offensive rebounds. I can run the floor and score off that. I can get fouled and make free throws. I have too many ways to beat you. Mm-hmm. So, that's the reality of it. But I love playing against them. And for me, what made it easy is I knew that I would always have the other team's best defender guarding me. So there's no way that mentally I would ever try to, take a day off or something. I mean, I always gave my best effort every time. And I said, if I don't do that, I'm liable to be embarrassed by somebody who's a really good defender. Mm. And a good defender is not earmarked by how many points the guy scores. How many shots did he take to score the points?
Yeah.
That's what
wow. I like that.
Rick, before we let you go, we appreciate your time very much. I want to shift gears a little bit. And as it's kind of personal, I know, but we just lost, of course, another great 24. And you had a unique perspective on Willie Mays, being from back east. And also, you were in the Bay Area when Willie was there. I was just wondering if you could share with us what your emotions to his passing and what Willie Mays, the player, meant to you as a pro athlete.
Well, I had the good fortune of having my boyhood hero, who was Willie Mays. That's why I wore number 24, to get to be personal friends with him. And so he meant a lot to me. When I was growing up, again, I was a better baseball player. My father taught me how to play. He taught me how to catch fly balls with the basket catch. And so all of a sudden, this rookie comes onto the Giants, and I was a baseball fan, and he's got the basket catch. I said, well, that looks like that's my guy, and it turned out to be pretty darn good. And so that's why I wore 24. And then in parochial school, you didn't get days off for teachers' conventions like you do in the public school system. Mm-hmm. And so one day they were having a PAL, a Police Athletic League, trip to see the Giants play on a weekday, but it was a real early game. And so they had a trip for all of those kids who were in public school to go on the trip. And so I cut school from the parochial school to go on the trip because I wanted to go to the Polo Grounds to see Willie Mays play. And I figured, okay, they didn't have dugouts in first and third baseline. They had their dugouts were in center field. They had stairs going out there. So it's the ninth inning. The Giants are ahead. Willie's out in center field. And all of a sudden the game's over. And Willie starts to, head towards the locker room, which is the stairs in center field. I hung and dropped from the left field. I was in left field, hung and off the wall and sprinted out and got to Willie and shook his hand and managed to evade all of the security people, because that's pretty quick. And my friends are there and they yank me back up and I get on the bus and they go back home. And so I go in the house late afternoon. My brother, who was in public school this time, my older brother, says, so how was the game today? I said, what are you talking about, the game? I was at school. He said, no, you weren't. You were at the game. I said, no, I wasn't. He said, yeah, you were. I saw you on television. I said, what?
Oh.
He said, yeah. He said, at the end of the game, they zoomed in on this kid that came down from the wall in left field and sprinted out to Willie Mays and shook his hand. They zoomed in, and it was you. I said, oh, my God, don't tell Mom or Dad. And so how incredible is it that here it is, that that's what I did. That's my first meeting with Willie Mays. So I come out to play for the Warriors. I get to meet Willie, get to see Willie, and became friends with Willie Mays, my boyhood hero. And then I get a call for his 80th birthday. They're having a big celebration because he was a greeter for Bally's Hotel and Casino out in Atlantic City. And so the guy that was doing stuff said, hey, Rick, Willie wants you to come to the event. I said, oh, God, what an honor. That'd be so great. He said, yeah, but wait a second. He said, he wants you to be one of the speakers. I said, what? He said, yeah, he's only going to have 3 guys talking. Now, meanwhile, they got a day. It's full of all these Hall of Fame baseball players. Yeah, he wants you to be a speaker, but he wants you to be the first one, and he wants you to tell the story of how you first met him.
That's awesome.
So I go to the podium. I go to the microphone, and at the dais and where the mic is, and so there's 3,000 people packed into this ballroom back then. So I said, I just wanted to say what an honor it is to be here with such an illustrious group of incredible Hall of Fame athletes here, and I just can't even tell you what an honor this is to me. Willie Mays is always a boyhood hero of mine. And I know that right now, I know what every one of you is thinking. You're thinking, what the hell is he doing here? And so I said, and I'm thinking the same thing. What the hell am I doing here with this group and to honor Willie Mays? I said, and so I've got to be friends with my boyhood hero, and he wanted me to tell you the story, how I first met him. So here's the story. And I told him the story. So that was such a great memory for me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Rick. We appreciate that. Appreciate your time, and hope you enjoy the rest of the summer. Good luck to Canyon in the 3-on-3, and we hope to talk to you again soon.
Yeah, well, tell some of your fans and put it on your website if they want to go and get some products that I'm involved with. If they're into cannabinoid world with no THC and everything, go to medicilleaf.com, medicilleaf.com. They can go to AloeMD, ALOEMD.com, and they can go to GoSleeves.com, which is an amazing sleeve for knees and Achilles and calves and elbows that has kinesio tape built into them. Every one of them, the code is all letter RB24, my number, RB24. You get a discount on all those products. I use those when I play pickleball, which I do a lot of. I'm here to do something for the Warriors tomorrow. I never play without my Go Sleeves, and then I use the other products, the Medicilleaf product, the Platinum Pro Plus salve is unbelievable, and the Ultra Repair X is the other one. It's a cannabinoid product. I use them every day. I do much for you as they've done for me. So enjoy.
Thank you very much, Rick.
All right, Rick.
We appreciate it. Take care.
Hey, guys. Take care.
Thanks, man.
When we come back, we'll go over our chat with Rick Barry, react to that. And somebody's come up with one tough question for each NBA team. See if you agree with what they have for the Kings, because I sure don't. That's coming up here with the Drive Guys on Sactown Sports.
Sacramento